Hi everybody, how are you doing? My area is in lockdown number 3, so it's fun. Today I will be drawing Willow, which is my third character from the Don't Starve Together franchise game, and I will link the other two if you're interested in the top corner. But Willow is the second character that you can unlock in the solo game, and she is known as the fire starter. Her pro thing is that she is immune to fire, and her weaknesses include that she is more susceptible to being cold, and also that when she goes insane she starts to light fires which is fun. She enters the world with a lighter and also her teddy bear. For the skin that I've drawn her in, it looks more like a cat, so that is intentional, but her base character skin starts with a teddy bear. His name is Bernie, and he is very helpful with her sanity. If she's holding him, it can increase her sanity and also helps with warmth, and if she is insane and you set him down on the floor, he will turn into this gigantic monster and will fight all of the baddies for you, so that's also fun. I haven't played too much with Willow, but I do actually like her as a character, so sometimes I break her out. She has black hair, which I shaded with blue to try and give some of those undertones, because hair is a lot more complicated with all the different strands and all the different colors involved. I also was highlighting in white, which I think I changed later on, but I thought that it added a bit more shine to her hair. So I tried to do more of the warm highlights and cool shadows, but at the beginning I was a little bit hesitant because she's wearing a red dress and I was a little confused about how shading it with a cool color would still make it read red, which is kind of silly, but I definitely was very hesitant, so I started off shading her with a deeper red, and now is when I go in and add the blue for the cool shadows, although I probably should have done purple because that would have made a lot more sense, but you live and you learn. And then I also added back more red because I thought that the blue kind of dulled it a little bit too much, and it is a very red dress, so I tried to add that back. And then I was adding a lot of yellow to make them kind of a sheen, because obviously she's the fire starter, so I had to include a fire element of some kind. And then I colored in Bernie with some shading. I really enjoy shading Sophia's, it's so satisfying. So the skin was also a place where I kind of struggled with the cool shading a bit, because it's very easy to make them look very wrong if you don't go in with enough pink. I'm just very used to shading with the same color or a slightly darker version of it, so that was something that I had to try and balance out. And so there's a lot of back and forth between doing purple shadows and then going in with more pink and then trying to add a bit more contrast, and I think I managed to do okay, although she definitely looks somewhat deceased in the middle there. And adding yellow highlights to her face, as I was kind of going for a bit of a fire sheen this time more than Wilson. I was trying to specifically avoid that with him, but this time I was definitely trying to lean into it because, as I've mentioned, she's the fire starter, so you have to incorporate that somewhere. So there's just a lot of back and forth between trying to add contrast and make sure the shapes stand out and make sure she has enough blush in her face while also sticking with the highlights that are warmer and shadows that are cooler. And then I'm just shading the ruffles, and I really enjoyed this part. I think it's really satisfying. And then I go in and I go back to her face. For how I like to draw, I kind of get each item individually to where I'm okay with it, and then I go and move on to the next spot, and then as that spot gets more done, it kind of highlights other areas in the drawing that I should go back to and revise and change a bit more. So I do a lot of back and forth, and here I'm just changing her expression because I figured before she was looking a little bit more scared or forlorn, and she's supposed to really enjoy fire, so I added a bit more of a joyful expression onto her face to try and capture that she actually does enjoy, although I definitely didn't push the limits and she could have more of a facial expression. And then I went in with the background and I drew some trees, and I was messing around with the opacity because I'm not typically one for adding in backgrounds, and so I thought I would, well, if it's in the background then I should make it paler, but then it wasn't reading very well, so I put it back to its full opacity and added a bit more of the blur. But if I was doing it over again, I would definitely draw the fire on a different layer because I would have wanted that to be not blurred, but I couldn't blur the trees and not the fire because they're on the same layer. So next time I would definitely put the fire on a different level so that it could be a bit more in focus, because it's supposed to be more in the foreground, as in she's supposed to be kind of staring at it, so it kind of looks a little weird afterwards. But overall, I'm very happy with how this drawing turned out, and it was a lot of fun to draw her, and I'm excited with how she looks. So I will see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.